Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the E-commerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the E-commerce Edge podcast with me, Jason Greenwood, your host. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome our next guest, Mr. Al SCHUSTER, who is a brand strategist and experiential marketing expert from Polaris Brand Promotions. Welcome, Al, to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It is awesome to have you along for the ride today. And this is going to be a slightly different conversation to what we often have on the podcast, where we are so heavily focused on e-com, omni-channel, digital retail, etc. But I felt like you would be a super interesting guest to have on because a lot of brands are trying to figure out, especially omni-channel brands that have maybe physical retail, maybe they got a direct-to-consumer website, maybe they sell through Amazon, maybe they sell through eBay, maybe they sell through TikTok Shop, but they're always looking at new ways to become more active in the physical space. And they're trying to figure out, how do we expand our brand and name recognition outside of our core, say, digital market, or outside of the shops that we would typically operate in. And I felt like that was a really interesting angle of a conversation we could have today.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely can help out. A lot of synergies. I could start out by saying our agency's been to a number of large trade shows, a lot of consumer packaged goods facing trade shows. And the one big thing we hear is, oh, we just got on Amazon, or we just got into this retail store. And we primarily activate our clients' brands by having in-store brand ambassadors that are representing our clients' products and services directly to consumers.
And so when we think of any kind of physical event, we oftentimes think in the context of an activation, right? That's the term that is often used in the marketing world to refer to these types of activities or events, which is, hey, we want to activate a brand inside of a location or inside of a market or inside of a new customer demographic, etc. So in other words, we want to expose our brand to a new cohort of customers that may never have heard of us before or may have only heard of us in passing. And so we're trying to increase the surface area where our brand is recognized. That's the key goal, right?
Yes, very much. Obviously, digital's the way to go. Buying things online, Lord knows, I probably order off of Amazon 2-3 days a week at least. In our industry, especially with the alcoholic beverages that we promote, we have a saying, it's called liquid to lips. They try it, they like it, they buy it. That's a very difficult, if not impossible, goal you can achieve for being strictly e-commerce. So even if you only sell on e-commerce, if you attend events like large public tastings, or you sponsor events where you can use brand ambassador staff to drive traffic either through QR codes, sign-up forms, things like that, discount like coupons or free giveaways or things, you can drive e-commerce platforms by activating either in the stores where you sell your physical product or in public spaces where they have large public gatherings. Like, for instance, if you set up maybe like a booth or a table, like at a sporting event or a concert or a music festival, or even sponsor a large public festival. 4th of July is coming around, a lot of parades, a lot of public events where you set up a table, you set up a booth, or maybe even on a campus or a university where, you can not only give away some product for free, but drive that e-commerce traffic by having people, again, sign up, QR code, maybe fill out a form, give out a physical coupon or a discount code that they can then redeem on an e-commerce platform.
Makes a ton of sense. And do you primarily have a collection of retail giants or retail stores that you would typically work with? I know, for example, even in my local Costco here in Puebla City, there's always tastings. There are constantly, every time I'm in there, there's a new booth set up for food tasting, for alcohol tasting, for juice tasting, for tasting everything you can possibly imagine. There's always something happening in terms of an in-store activation to expose these brands to new customers. And so do you work with grocery chains, big box stores? Do you have existing relationships that you tap on a regular basis for this brand exposure? Or is it you're always putting together a package of activations on behalf of your customers, and those are bespoke, tailored packages that don't have any necessarily through line through them that are always consistent?
It's more leaning towards B. Here's how we generally operate. We work with supplier partners as well as sometimes with wholesalers and distributors, because the wholesalers and distributors either they bill back to the suppliers or it's part of their marketing budget for the wholesaler distributor to promote their products and services. We don't necessarily work directly with retail partners a lot. Usually it's our clients have the connection because they sell into those stores. And they'll come to us and they'll either say, okay, I scheduled a whole bunch of tastings or demos with XYZ's chain. And here are the dates, times, locations. Alternatively, and this is included in our reach for our clients, is they can say, okay, here's our frequency. Here are the stores we want to target. We can then go and either call the stores directly, go through a portal, go to the corporate office and schedule on their behalf. But generally speaking, our clients are the ones to drive that. They have the relationship with the retail locations. And some retailers, in fact, only have a preferred vendor list of agencies that they'll allow to come in to represent the brands and stores.
And so in that scenario, Polaris would be the representative of the brand. So you're dealing with all the logistics of actually delivering the activation. So the relationship might be already existing between the brand and the retail partner, but then you're actually setting up the stands, you're sending in the brand ambassador, you are organizing to have the product either pulled from the shelf or delivered to the location at the right time so that the ambassador has something to set up. You're running the event for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours, whatever it is, on the store floor. You are making sure that the brand ambassador is engaging with the shoppers that are passing by the stand. You're collecting information or making sure that they scan QR codes or whatever the case may be. And so you're handling pretty much every single aspect of the actual logistics of delivering the activation in store, correct?
Exactly. And that's really where we pride ourselves on as an agency. And this is what my agency, a lot of other agencies do. It's not about just sending out an enthusiastic, energetic brand ambassador out to do the demo. There's a lot of things that go into each demo, like you mentioned, making sure there's enough inventory, coordinating if we're bringing in giveaway items or QR codes or like a little 8.5 by 11-inch acrylic stand with some information about the brand or a discount QR code or something on that, and coordinating with our client, coordinating with the store to make sure that everything is set up in advance. So when our brand ambassador arrives with the tools and equipment that they need, that they are ready to go. So a lot of behind the scenes work goes in. It's not just hiring a brand ambassador, sending them out to a store at a particular date and time. It's really working closely with our partners to make sure that everything is executed and fully communicated across the board.
And what about other types of activations? Like I know, for example, that Culture Kings, which is famously an Australian brand streetwear retailer, they famously have set up very large in-store events, whether it be getting a Tony Hawk in store to sign autographs, or whether it be getting a celebrity DJ, because they in most of their retail stores they have DJ booths. So they'll get a celebrity DJ in for a specific period of time, and oftentimes there is, when they advertise this across their social platforms, there's literally a line down the, if they're in a mall, it could be all the way down the mall waiting for the store to open because they want to meet these people that are famous, right? And they want to get an autograph, or they want to listen to a set in store, or they want to have some sort of engagement other than the purchase, right? Some sort of engagement other than, okay, come in, spend this amount of money, get this discount, get this deal, get this promotion, right? They want to feel engaged with the brand beyond the products that they're selling. And do you have engagements with certain clients that go beyond experiencing the product that they sell, that you think outside the box around, hey, how can we create an activity, or how can this brand become a nexus for something of interest beyond just the products they sell?
Okay, we've worked with a large number of clients across the country doing exactly that. For instance, without naming too many client names here, we've worked with a casino chain that opened up around the Philadelphia area, a new location, and we had our team go out and give away branded swag and items related to that casino. We also handed out coupons for food and beverage discounts if you came in that were good that day after the related sporting event near there. We did a food truck activation where we handed out branded food items as well as gave away free merchant swag to people. And these were advertised in advance in a wrapped truck. We basically just did the staffing for that. So yeah, we've worked with, and we've had clients come to us and they needed bottle autographed, engraved, personalized, and we would do the sampling while that was taking place. So we've worked with brands to combine elements. Like, we can serve as a full service experiential agency because we have the right partners in place to do that. It's just the client needs to come to us and say, this is our vision. This is what we want to do. This is what we need in terms of services, resources. And then if we can't provide them directly, we'll find the partners to partner up with them to do that. Like, for instance, trade show, booth fabrication, digital signage, branded merch and swag giveaway items. Our clients come to us and say, look, we know we need staffing. We know we need a booth or a setup at a physical location, but we need help beyond that. Can you help us? And we can certainly help out with those aspects as well.
And what do you, in your experience, what makes the perfect brand? What makes the perfect customer of yours? If you thought about your ICP, is it the Coca-Colas of the world, or is it the smaller, more localized brands? Maybe especially when they first start out, maybe they're a startup, maybe they're a liquid death, maybe they're what in your mind makes the prototypical perfect client for you that you see great results with in terms of activations?
I'm going to answer that in two ways. First of all, our ideal client as an agency is obviously one that wants to do hundreds of demos and give us tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
Our favorite client, I would have to say, is an up and coming brand where if they need help, because we don't have any minimums, you can use this as much as you want, same nationwide pricing, is having a brand that maybe is starting off, say, in the mid-Atlantic region. And they're starting off, they're new, they're growing, they need help in stores, they need help at one-off little public events. And as they grow, we grow along with them. And that's a great thing about Polaris Brand Promotions, being a nationwide agency. As they enter new markets, say, okay, we just hired a sales rep in Florida, we want to get demos going down there. Great. Just give us the chain store information. That's the only real thing, is making sure we're compliant with the chain store's requirements. But we have the database in place. We have the logistics in place. We have amazing VP of operations, Steph Crawford, who manages this all for us. And we can just roll into any new market and just keep things going always consistently. Obviously, of course, if there are changes in SKUs, changes in the chain stores, double checking the regulations, but pretty much everything else in terms of logistics and organization, behind the scenes stuff, we can just help them grow from there. So as they grow, we grow with them. We help support them in new markets. And it's really a win-win for everyone. They have the same level of consistent service. We have more revenue as an agency representing a brand that we've come to know and to really enjoy representing.
And do you find that those types of brands that maybe have that more medium to long-term vision, they know, look, this is not good. This is a slow burn effort. This is going to require consistency. This is going to require being in market for a lengthy period of time. Brand recall, they say that, I think the statistic is something like people need to be exposed to a brand at least 7 times before they have even a hope of recall around that brand. That means that your brand is going to have to be exposed pretty consistently in a given region or market or retailer before it ever starts to build momentum or build traction. And so do most of the brands you work with, do they come with that understanding, or do some maybe expect miracles? Because I know that digitally it's the same, but some brands expect miracles. They expect, hey, look, they think of it almost like the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. That's not really how this game works. And especially nowadays with the sheer volume of digital competition they have out there in the market, from every quarter, every vertical, every category of product. There is competition. There's no such thing as blue ocean anymore online. That's the honest
Yeah.
truth. And so, how realistic typically are your clients when they get to you around the consistent effort that they are going to have to put in to grow their brand?
We do our best to educate, especially brands that are new to the promotional demo service part of their plan. And I'm very straightforward and candid and honest. Several things first come to mind. First of all, if this was 100% successful, or this was massively successful, literally chain stores and even independent stores would be charging rent for these brands to come in, because they would constantly be having every brand hitting them up, like 24 hours a day, trying to book times or whatever to get in their stores. Uh, as I like to say, doing a demo product or a demo program, it's more than just doing the demo. It's not the end all and be all of promoting your product or service to consumers. It's part of the marketing mix. It should be part of your marketing strategy, your marketing playbook. And the way I like to mention, you mentioned some good things about bringing celebrities in, like doing engraved bottles, things like that, where we don't say we're going to be the end all and be all. You can partner us with other digital marketing. You can partner us with your e-commerce. You can partner us with your larger, if you have like a nationwide marketing campaign going that involves billboards, commercials, online social media, our brand ambassadors can go into the store and they can help to promote that particular marketing campaign. Like, we one time worked with a brand, they were doing a scooter giveaway. And one of our brand ambassadors went to all these beer distributors in the greater Philadelphia area and hung up scooter giveaway contest flyers. And the stores don't care. You put it up near the display, you put it up in the window, just a little bit more promotion. Hopefully it'll drive some more in-store sales of customers that are coming in, but allowed our client to gain all of the marketing information. But again, that's not directly brand ambassador work. That is promotional staffing work to help promote this contest. But we incorporated an existing giveaway program that was happening more in the digital space through collecting consumer data, collecting information about the people who wanted to sign up for this contest, and adding that into their email marketing, their social media marketing, things like that. We play a role in the overall marketing scheme of things. And again, to your point, it is about raising brand awareness. I like to think about it as, okay, if you have your product, if you like the product and you buy it and it sits in your shelf and you use it occasionally, there's your 7 touch points right there. So you keep seeing it and keep tasting it over and over again because you liked it and you bought a unit of product. But essentially, it all boils down to the fact that you need to introduce your product directly to consumers. You can trust an influencer, you can enjoy a marketing campaign, you can relate to a celebrity and raise brand awareness that way. But really, there's nothing that, can replace that liquid to lips opportunity.
And do you feel like almost any location can be turned into an activation opportunity, whether that's a local park, whether that's a farmer's market, whether that's a local amusement park, is it your experience that almost anywhere where you can get a permit to operate can be turned into a brand activation environment? Or are there some environments that just simply are better than others in terms of people wanting to actually stop, experience a product, and then consider a purchase?
I think it all really depends upon your goals, what you want to get out of the program. For instance, if you're looking at driving in-store sales, you definitely want to set up in a store. If you want to raise brand awareness en masse, if you want to hit a ton of people and your product can be consumed, or maybe even if it can't, you can set up outside a sporting event or a concert or music festival where, even like, for instance, if you have an alcoholic beverage where for one reason or another, maybe local regulations, state regulations, whatnot, you can't sample the product, you can give away merchant swag, assuming you're compliant with law, which is something that we have to deal with all the time being in our industry for certain products and certain clients of ours. For instance, if you're like in the snack food space, having a large public event with large numbers of families and things like that would be ideal. But the key thing to do is talk with your agency, whether it be your full service experiential or simply your staffing agency, and to work with them to identify opportunities to represent their clients. We've literally had clients come to us and say, can you send us a list of events in these cities and that we can promote our product at? And I roll my eyes thinking to myself, like, yeah, you can do that too by going on Google or going on Facebook or Eventbrite or whatever. But we can help with that. And because we do know what's involved in those things, we can make those introductions and things like that. But we can certainly help out with identifying opportunities and making those introductions. But really, it's all driven around the goals and the KPIs of our client to help identify what the best opportunities are.
And what do you think the future of this industry looks like? Do you think obviously VR kind of got a false start in the world, and Web3's kind of faded into the background in favor of AI. And basically, unless you're an AI company today, in terms of software, you're probably not going to get any form of funding. ChatGPT's kind of taken over the world very quickly. I've redirected all my web queries now away from Google. Now I'm making all my queries directly through ChatGPT via a browser plugin. There is this emerging expectation that most brands have moved, at least from a digital experiential perspective, they've had to move beyond SEO now to GEO, these generative engine optimization techniques that allow you to become present in these platforms, become really well represented across these AI-driven platforms. How important do you think it is for these brands to have a unified online-offline approach? That's the first question. And then secondly, I assume that the vast majority of the brands that you work with are CPG brands. It sounds like the vast majority of them are food and beverage brands. And I'm friends with someone on LinkedIn who's starting a brand new CPG brand. It's a seed oil free potato chip brand, for lack of a better term. They're going to come out with a whole range of products, but that's their sort of first product to market is seed oil free, basically a seed oil free alternative, healthier version of a potato chip. And he's just starting to put together not only the product and getting it manufactured, getting it made, getting it packaged, getting it ready for retail sale and distribution, the inner packs, the outer packs, etc. But he's also starting to think about his marketing mix and how he goes about that. Now, he's got a very large brand on LinkedIn, so it's pretty easy for him to execute on social. He's starting to think about his marketing mix. And so how important do you think it is for these brands to have that unified marketing experience? Or do these type of activations tend to also work very well in isolation?
Nothing's in isolation these days. I can tell you that in terms of the future of where all this is going, I think modern technology and all the automation that AI and everything has started is really taking away from that human interaction. People are going to start craving more and more human engagement outside of the digital realm. And that's not necessarily going to change what we do in terms of promotional staffing and sampling products and services. It's going to do is it's going to force us to incorporate more technology in a different way, to the point of, again, human interaction, encountering someone at a store, taking a sample, learning about the brand, asking them questions with an actual human being, not just a ChatGPT or something. There is no replicating that. And in terms of the technology, as I mentioned before, I believe as new technology evolves, it can be incorporated into experiential. VR was what it was. We can do virtual reality activations. Brands have done that. In terms of AI, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but then again, there's certain things AI can recommend things, AI can tell you things, but AI can't just directly hand you a sample, it can answer brand questions. It's a little tough to do all that stuff just on the fly for every single scenario, unless you're not experiencing the brand. That's the biggest thing, is actually experiencing the brand one-on-one, whether it be using it, trying on a face cream, trying a sample, utilizing the technology in your hands, which you may not be able to do through just having a flat screen interface with whatever's doing the promoting to you.
Yeah, makes complete sense. How do you guys make your money? How do you charge for these types of activations? what is common in the industry? Is this I'm sure that you don't operate in an industry of one. I'm sure you've got competitors that offer similar services.
Mhm.
Is this a per event type of fee? How do you put together your package of services and pricing to where it's easily understood by the brands that you work with and it's accessible to the widest range of brands possible?
You brought up a good point. Every agency in our industry runs a little bit differently. How our agency works is we do flat rate per hour pricing. I'm going to give you a very wide range because I don't want someone saying, "Hey, you said this number in the podcast." I'm like, no, your brand has so many factors and things that go well beyond that. I would say, generally speaking, like between $50 and $80 an hour.
Right.
We generally pay our brand ambassadors usually about 50% of that. It goes into our corporate staff, insurance, the technology, the portals we use, and all of that. Um, in terms of what we bill for in addition to that, we usually invoice for if there's any training that needs to have dedicated time. Like we'll send sell sheets, we will give online resources. Like our clients can put a video together, or we can organize a quiz that they have to take and get a certain passing grade. All of that's included. But if you want to get our staff together at a particular date and time to train them all together, we charge for that in like half-hour increments. We don't really charge for, let's see, any type of kit prep fees. We just charge for reshipping. If they send a pallet of items and we need to ship them out to our team members for the shipping costs, the packing materials, things like that. And then finally, if we need to purchase any of the product or any of the mixtures, if it's an alcoholic beverage or something, we'll charge for those. We don't generally charge for like cups or ice or anything that's non-disposable. Like our brand ambassadors are expected to have a table, a tablecloth, an ice bucket as necessary. So we include a lot of standard supplies in that. And again, we're different than a lot of other agencies. We like to keep simple pricing, no surprises, nothing like that. And we like to our clients to be able to develop a budget on their own. A lot of times, like, what's a budget? Because maybe they're used to dealing with an agency where it's okay, it'll cost you $50,000 to launch this entire program. And we don't just do those one-off events too much. We generally like to look at it as it's per brand ambassador per hour. And from there, you just tell us the dates, times, locations. If you need them to arrive early to help with setup, if you need them to drive to like their local like FedEx drop location to pick up kit for the table or the trade show booth or whatever, we'll add the hours on there. But we like to keep our pricing simplified and easy to understand. And so our clients can use this as much or as little as they want and they know exactly what it's going to cost them.
And how do you handle like travel costs, like travel time? Do you charge mileage for your ambassadors to get to the event or the activation? How is their time and their cost compensated for transport to and from, etc.? How, because I'm guessing that in some instances, an ambassador might be, who knows, they might be an hour away from a specific
Mhm.
activation that they need to get to or whatever the case may be. So how do you manage all the transport requirements around all this?
It all depends upon the program. It all depends upon the client. Everything differs. For instance, in your example, we always try to hire local talent as close as we can. If there's an instance where it's a challenging location, we might go back to our client and say, hey, look, the locations that you gave us, they're not in densely populated metropolitan areas. As I jokingly say, it's like in Nevada where the tumbleweeds outnumber the people. When you get far enough away from Las Vegas and Reno, we'll talk with our client about that. We're very upfront and candid about what our capabilities are. Odds are if our agency can have or is going to have trouble finding brand ambassadors in a particular location, another agency is going to have the same level of challenge. So we talk with our clients about what the locations are activating, what their needs are. And if there is any type of travel pay or anything like that, we'll discuss it with the client before we invoice them. And again, we sometimes do have brand ambassadors who, if the client's large enough and they're giving us a ton of major metro area activations and they have a couple stragglers, we'll take a cut on our end and just pay our brand ambassadors directly. So we're not making things more difficult for our client. We're still making money. We're still making the client happy. But if we attempt to take a minor haircut to help our client out in a difficult location, then that's what we're willing to do. On a case by case basis, of course.
Sure. No, makes absolute sense. And what have you seen? Can you give me an example of 1, 2, 3 activations that you have thought have been very out of the box, have been very creative, have been, if you look back across your history of doing this for a very long time, what have been some of the most innovative, groundbreaking types of activations that you have seen that really required a lot of creativity by the brand? And as we know, a lot of brands are they're very protective of their brand, they're protective of their
Mhm.
positioning, they're protective of their messaging. And maybe historically, only TikTok was perhaps the only channel where they got a little wild and crazy, and where we've even seen Bose and we've seen some really traditional brands get a little bit wild and crazy from a social media perspective, but only on TikTok, where they're more straight down the line and more serious and buttoned up on other social media platforms. And have you seen brands sort of let their hair down a little bit with certain activations, or maybe even go after a new cohort or a new ICP of customer because of how and where and when they did a certain activation? That, look, they're trying to access a new market. Talk to us about some of the creativity that you've seen in activations over the last decade.
All right. I won't mention any clients' names. We like to keep them a little confidential, but I do have a few that I can speak of in very broad terms. One of them is we had THC drink brand and wanted to activate in a market where that you could not sample THC products to customers. So what the client wanted to do, in which we helped them out, was they produced a CBD and a non-infused equivalent to some of their THC products. So the challenge that we had was have the consumer sample the CBD or the non-infused, explain the difference. Maybe it's a little sweeter, a little different taste of the THC version, and encourage them to purchase the THC version of the product. We've had brands like, for instance, like I said, we've done food truck programs where we've gone and themed them to their partners, their advertising and sponsorship partners, where we've given away branded food items, where we've given away branded hats and things like that, and T-shirts. Let me think what else. We've represented a major supermarket chain at sporting events where we have a spin wheel and we give away branded prizes and little $5 off coupons and things like that, which some cases you may expect them to do things like that. In other cases, it's a little bit outside, a little bit different than what you might expect from them. But overall, every client we've had has been unique and different in their own way, and we've been proud and happy to represent them to their consumers.
Love it. And how are you doing activations for your business? Obviously, coming on podcasts like this, you get broader exposure for what you guys do. But how do you guys advertise your services? How do you get out in front of your ICP? How do you make sure that you remain visible? How do you activate for what you do? Because you're not a CPG brand, but you
Yeah.
service CPG brands. Are you working with major local, for example, do you have partnerships with major CPG food and beverage distributors that you say, hey, look, when you have a brand that you distribute for that they need some brand promotion, they need some activations, come and talk to us. We're happy to help. We're here to be your right hand agency that we can take care of all this for you and the brands that you sell and represent. What are you guys doing to build your business?
All the above. To start off, we do have relationships with wholesalers and distributors, some regional, some national, that do bring us new clients and new opportunities as they come on board. Like, we're working with one distributor partner where, they keep referring us business. Every new brand they sign, it's an up and coming brand, and they need us to do in-store demos. So we go out and we then start with the new brands that they bring on board. We go to a lot of industry trade shows, walk the floor, try to meet with new and up and coming brands, as well as develop those relationships. We do a lot of account-based marketing research. Like, we look out for trade shows that are coming up, and we reach out to all of their exhibitors and say, hey, we can help out. We can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on airfare, hotel, meals, taking your employees away from their day job just to stand in a booth that's 10 foot by 10 foot for several hours during the day. We look for new and emerging brands that are out there and reach out to them directly. We've done a ton of work on our website lately, and we're working on improving our SEO efforts. So a lot of growth, especially in the last year. Our team is amazing. to really help us, because we feel that we are an industry leader in this space. We feel that we offer value for our pricing and superior service and quality relative to our competition. And we really want our website, our social media, all of those assets to reflect that.
Makes sense. And what do you see a world where, for example, I work in the e-commerce space and I work in the digital world, and I go to speak a lot of conferences, and lots of platform vendors, lots of SIs, agencies, they'll have booths there talking about their platforms, talking about their technology, talking about their services, etc. And as you say, most of the time they're sending their sales teams, they're sending their SEs, they're sending their BDRs, their BDMs, they're sending teams to all these conference locations around the world where they have an exhibit hall with booths, etc.
Mhm.
And do you see a future where you work on behalf of services companies, not just product companies? Or is this something that you really have niched down into the physical product world, and that's where you see yourself performing the best, so to speak, and bringing the most value to your customers?
We do all the above. We've represented service-based companies, like we've represented a home improvement company set up in certain hardware stores. That's just one example, but we have no problems working in the service space and the product space as well. It's just we've found a lot of our agency's growth has come in the product area of the industry, because there's never going to be an end to the need for doing sampling events at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, massive growth opportunity. CPG is tough out there. It's hard to, man, it's hard to be a new CPG band. I would hate to be a new energy drink vendor. I would hate to be I feel like CPG is just one of the most insanely competitive industries
Mhm.
there is. Although with the Maha movement, maybe there'll be a whole new raft of healthy brands that come to market that create a whole new pool of potential customers for you. Listen, this has been a fascinating conversation. I've learned a lot. This is an area that I am not an expert in by any stretch of the imagination. It's good to better understand the overlap and the crossover between online activations, online campaigns, offline activations, and how those two can work together for a more holistic go-to-market motion. I really appreciate your time and you sharing your knowledge with me and the audience today. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, what's the best way to get a hold of you if people want to learn everything about this sort of activation methodology, what you can offer, what you recommend, how you can help them devise what a good campaign or a good activation could look like for them? I'll drop a link to your LinkedIn profile and to your website in the show notes. But other than that, how do you like people to reach out and have a conversation with you?
Go to polarisbrandpromotions.com. It's the easiest way to get in touch. We have a number of call to action links on our website, whether it's our contact us page, book a demo direct link on our overhead banner. You just send a link, send as much detail as you want, and I respond directly to all of our inbound leads. Either I'll put you in touch with a member of our team. We could schedule a Teams meeting or a quick call just to go over what your needs are, especially if it's time urgent. And we do get back to anyone who responds to our website extremely quickly.
Amazing. Listen, Al, this has been a fabulous conversation. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, this is where I get to flip the script. I get to hand the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It can be personal or professional. So, Mr. Al Schuster from Polaris Brand Promotions, what is your question for me today?
Right. I'm going to kind of throw a lot of what you referenced back at you and say, with the emergence of new technology, especially AI, AGI, which is coming soon, the banner is already there. What do you think you see as the biggest challenge facing the e-commerce industry in the next few years?
I think that the human element and being able to fuse the human element with the agentic element is going to be the thing that allows brands to win. I think the idea of a concierge, a shopping concierge, is very attractive to consumers, but how they do that in as human a way as possible, I think is the key here. I also think that in-person events and activities are going to take on an entirely new level of importance and meaning, which is why I'm going to more conferences and events, and I'm speaking at more live events now than I ever have before in my career. Because I think with the age of AI and with the age of AI generated content and AI avatar generated content, I have the firm belief in my heart, and I've seen lots of technical revolutions over the last 25 years. I think that the human element is actually the thing that is going to increasingly differentiate the better brands from the brands that don't win.
Yeah.
And I think the brands that find ways to scale the in theory unscalable, those brands are also the brands that are going to do better than worse in the future. And I'm thinking of, I've used this example on the podcast before, but I'll give you an example. When I moved away from New Zealand to Mexico, I had been buying bourbon. I'm a big bourbon fan, and I've been buying bourbon and other spirits online from a pure play online retailer of spirit brands in New Zealand. And I had been buying off them for several years and spending several $1,000s a year with them over multiple years. Now, when I churned and I stopped buying from them because I moved to Mexico, I never got a communication from them. I never got a phone call from them. I never got an email from them. I never got anything from them asking, "Oh, hey, you've been a loyal customer for multiple years. Thank you very much. Is there a reason why you've stopped buying from us? Did we do something wrong? Could we do something better? What can we improve? Did you move? What was the reason why you churned?" And I think, and I do a significant amount of my shopping online, somewhere around 90% plus of my shopping I do online. And so I've been doing that for many years now. And so I am the prototypical perfect online customer for a brand. And I have yet, in all the years that I've been buying online, I have yet to have a personalized phone call from any one of those brands. And I always wonder, customer service teams are not consumed 100% of their day with servicing issues, dealing with problems, answering product questions, answering shipping questions, all those things. There's always, I've worked with so many brands, I know this is the case. There is always downtime somewhere for customer service teams. And I'm always wondering, why are they not turned into ambassadorship teams where they're calling up customers, asking them what their experience is? You can easily break down those cohorts into different cohorts of customers that you ask different questions to, depending on what the cohort's behavior is. And I've often wondered why brands don't try to scale the unscalable with the human touch. And I understand, especially if they're a pure play online brand, they think they do everything digitally and they think that's the way to win. But I think you can more easily differentiate yourself if you inject the human touch in select touch points. I think that, to me, the brands that do that smartly are the ones that will win moving forward, despite AI becoming the thing.
Yeah. And you're 100% right, if you don't mind me jumping in. Funny, the first thing that came to mind is real estate agents have mastered this game for years.
Yes.
Every year you get a calendar. Every year you get something. Hey, do you know anyone who's looking to buy or sell? Because even if you did business with them once, that could be a potential referral source for years and years. I still have my real estate license. I don't really practice or anything, but I've been part of that world. And yeah, that's the biggest thing, is especially with your biggest clients, keep in touch with them. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's churn. And they're so busy acquiring new customers to replace any that naturally drop off. I'm just wondering, and I'm thinking out loud rhetorically, is maybe what's the cost benefit of the acquisition cost for a new client or a new customer versus the retention cost for an existing one? And again, if you offer freebies, discount to your brand's will list, if you can find a way to do that, then that'll help keep customer retention. But then again, if you move to a new market and that brand isn't sold there or something, or maybe you get an opportunity to try the local stuff, they might win you over. You're going to lose customers. It's churn. It always is going to happen. But the ability to connect with that customer after the sale and to keep them buying, it's a critical function that I think is, like you said, it's vastly ignored.
It is, and I think the term that always leaps to mind for me is surprise and delight. If you can find unique and novel ways to surprise and delight your customers, you're probably going to find a way to win. Again, as I said, it's been a fascinating conversation. I super appreciate your time with me today. I wish you all the best with your business and your growth going forward. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and time with me today. I really appreciate it. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Glad to be here.
If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.